evening, everybody. Welcome back to a Two Shadows production. On tonight's horror story, we'll be talking about the wrong memory. A horror story so scary that you'll be forced to subscribe, because I heard 80% of people who watch these videos are not. I hope you enjoy. I remembered the red swing most of all. It was one of those old metal framed sets with chains that pinched your fingers if you grabbed the wrong link. In my memory, it sat in the middle of a field behind our house. A field of long, uncut grass that hissed in the wind. The swing seat was slick red plastic, cracked at the edges, and there was always mud under it, even in summer. In the memory, it was dusk. My sister, Lily, was on the swing, dragging her bare feet through the mud. "Push me higher," she said. I remember hesitating. Mum said not to. "You'll fall." She turned and grinned at me, her hair tangled and wild, eyes too bright. "You're not my boss, Noah." The air smelled like rain and hot metal. Frogs croaked somewhere beyond the tall grass. I stepped behind her and set my hands on the gold chains. She bumped her legs and I pushed, and the world blurred. Higher, higher. The sky bruised purple overhead. I remember the moment, her laughing, the chains squealing, the arc of her swing getting too high. I pushed once more and lost my grip. The swing shot forward. For a heartbeat, she seemed suspended in the air, hair fanned, out behind her like ink in water. Then she slipped. I remember the sound of her body hitting the ground, a wet, sick crack that still wakes me at night. I remember screaming until my throat burned. I remember kneeling beside her, my hands shaking as I turned her over, her neck at an angle. Her neck shouldn't bend. Her eyes were open, but empty, staring past me at the darkening sky. I remember my mother running through the grass, my father behind her. I remember the sirens. I remember the ambulance lights strobing against the red swing, painting it the colour of fresh blood. It's the clearest memory of my childhood, except Lily isn't dead. She texted me last Tuesday, asking if I was coming to her baby shower. The first time I realised something was wrong, I was standing in line at the pharmacy, clutching a bottle of off-brand painkillers and a box of melatonin. The nightmares had been bad that week. Endless repeats red swing and Lily's neck and that horrible crack. My phone buzzed. Hey you alive? The contact phone was recent. Lily, 32, blonde hair and a messy bun, mascara smudged at the edges, holding a mug that said, "Will's okay, sister." Behind her, I could see the awful floral wallpaper in her apartment. Define alive. She sent back a selfie. She was in a hospital room, gown on, eyes rolling. They're stealing my blood. Also, baby is the size of the pineapple. Get your ass here this weekend, please. I stared at the screen until the man behind me cleared his throat, reminding me to shuffle forward for a second. The world tilted. My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step. Lily couldn't be in a hospital room. She was supposed to be face down in the mud behind our house. Neck broken, eyes empty. You okay? The cashier asked when I reached the counter. I must have looked shaken. Yeah, I lied. Just tired. On the drive home, the memory replayed itself again and again, more vivid than ever. The colour of the sky, the weight of the chains in my hand, the way her hair had fanned out when she fell. I could almost feel the mud soaking my jeans as I knelt beside her. But my phone, resting in the cup holder, lit up with a new message. Hello? Are you ignoring me? I nearly swerved into the next lane. By the time I got to my apartment, my hands were trembling too much to get the key into the lock. I leaned my forehead against the cool metal of the door and took slow breaths. Lily was alive. I had just texted her. We'd had dinner last month. She'd made that black bean chili she was obsessed with. We'd thought about something stupid. Our mother, probably. But the memory didn't care. It sat, heavy and cold, like a stone lodged behind my eyes. I went to bed early that night, melatonin dissolving under my tongue, and dreamed of the swing again. Only this time, when Lily fell, she didn't hit the ground. She hung there, mid-air, as if gravity had forgotten her. The world around us went still. The frogs, the wind, the distant hiss of cars, all silenced. Her head turned slowly, impossibly, until she was looking at me. Her eyes weren't empty. They were full, too full, person speaking through the same mouth. This isn't yours. I woke up gasping, heart pounding. The room was dark. My sheets were twisted. Around my legs, damp with sweat. On my nightstand, my phone buzzed with a new message. BTW, Mum says you still haven't RSVP'd. I stared at her message until the letters blurred. Wrong, she had said in the dream. This isn't yours. I think I'm losing it, I said 2 days later. Dr. Patel folded her hands over her notebook and regarded me with that careful professional patience therapists cultivate. She was younger than I'd expected. When I'd first booked the appointment months ago for insomnia and generalized anxiety, now I felt like I was bringing her something rotten and asking if it smelled weird, or if that was just me. What makes you say that? She asked. I told her about the memory, the swing, the fall, the broken neck, the sirens, how I could replay it in all perfect detail, like watching a recording. I described the smell of the field, the specific weight of Lily's hand when I grabbed it, the exact tone of my mother's scream. And you're completely certain Lily is alive? She asked. I stared at her. Yes, of course. She texted me this morning a picture of her cat in a baby onesie. Can you tell me your earliest memory of Lily after this event? The question stopped me. My mind, usually so ready to flood me with images, went strangely blank. I don't know, I admitted. Teenage stuff, fighting over the bathroom, her stealing my shirts, us watching movies. Any specific moments? Dr. Patel pressed. I dug. There were flashes. Lily at 16, eyeliner too dark, blasting music in her own room. Lily at 20, hungover at Thanksgiving, complaining about our parents' questions. Lily last year, drunk texting me selfies from some bar. But they were fuzzy around the edges, grainy like old photos. The memory of the swing was high definition. Sometimes, Dr. Patel said slowly, people develop intrusive images or memories that feel real, even if they aren't. The brain can misattribute something it imagined or dreamt or heard as something personally experienced. So you think I made it up? My voice came sharper than I meant it to. saying that. I'm saying our recall is not as reliable as it feels. Have you ever dreamed something so vividly that you woke up unsure if it really happened? Yes, I said, but this isn't like that. Still, she said gently, it might help if you try to verify the facts. Talk to your parents. Ask about that swing set. Ask if any serious accidents happened in your childhood. Reality testing can be grounding. What if I'm right? I asked. What if she did die? Then, she said, we'd have a different conversation entirely. She smiled like it was a joke. I didn't. My mother answered on the second ring. Noah, she said, a little breathless. I was just about to call you. Have you sent Lily a gift yet? She's been obsessing over those weird diaper towels all the other girls' friends get. Mum, I cut in. I need to ask you something serious. She went quiet. Okay, she said cautiously. What's wrong? When we were kids, I said, picking at a thread on my couch cushion, we had a red swing set in the backyard with chains, remember? Honey, we never had a big yard, she said immediately. Just that little patch and the concrete patio. We couldn't afford a swing set. I swallowed. Okay. What about that field behind the house? There was a parking lot behind the house. Now she sounded amused. You running out there drove Mrs. Helms crazy. Remember how she used to call the cops on you kids for playing soccer? My fingers went numb. Parking lot, not a field. I could see the field so clearly. The grass, the frogs, the way the mud clung to Lily's heels. Did anything happen to Lily? I forced the words out, my throat tight. When we were little, like an accident, something serious. My mother's breath rustled against the receiver. Is this one of those therapy things? She asked, wary. Because if she put you up to this, tell Dr. Patel I won't be painted as some monster. Because your generation thinks every parent, Mum. I said, louder than I meant to. Please, did Lily ever get hurt? Badly? Did she ever almost die? Silence hummed between us. Finally, she said, no. She broke her wrist in 8th grade falling off that stupid hoverboard. She had strep a lot. Your sister's always been very dramatic about pain. was no life-threatening childhood accidents. Why on earth would you think that? Because I watched her die. I must have dreamed it, I said, forcing a laugh that felt brittle in my chest. Sorry, weird brain stuff. Forget it. Don't scare me like that, she said. God, I swear, between you and your sister, I'm going to go grey before the baby even arrives. We talked about safe things after work. The weather. I hung up feeling like I'd been hollowed out. In the corner of my mind, the field waited, green and wet. The next glitch was small. I was at my desk, half listening to a spreadsheet training video and half scrolling through old photos on my phone. I don't know why I was doing it. Some private experiment maybe. Trying to anchor myself. There was Lily at our cousin's wedding. In a green dress she hated. Lily and me on a hiking trail. Her cheeks flushed both of us, grinning after nearly falling into a stream. Lily on my tiny balcony, cigarette in hand, telling me she was pregnant. All proof, I told myself. Evidence. Real memories with real pictures. I zoomed in on the balcony photo. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. You could see my reflection in the sliding glass door behind her. Phone out, capturing the moment. It sent a weird tug through my chest. That double-layered image of us, framed and reframed. I swiped to the next photo. It was the swing set. Not in a field this time, in a yard I didn't recognize. The red plastic seat. The metal frame flecked with rust. The grass was patchy, dotted with clover. A small white house blurred in the background. My stomach clenched. I didn't remember taking this photo. I zoomed in on the swing. The image pixelated. The chains were dark, almost black, with age. There was no mud under it, just flattened grass. The timestamp said it was taken 3 years ago. I tried to recall where I had been that day. Nothing surfaced. That blank space where a memory should be. I backed out, thumb trembling, and opened the phone's metadata. Location unknown. No GPS data. That happens sometimes, I told myself. Glitches, data corruption, photos saved from the internet losing their tags. But I had taken this. I felt it. The angle, the slight tilt. It was mine. Wrong, a voice whispered. I jerked around, heart thudding. The apartment was empty. My monitor dutifully displayed the pause training video. A bird chattered outside the window. Get a grip, I muttered. Still, I deleted the photo. It felt like throwing away something rotten. That night, I dreamed of scrolling again. Same photo, same balcony, same swing. Only this time, when I zoomed in, there was someone sitting on the red seat. It was me. Not the me from 3 years ago. Not any version I recognized. This me was younger. Maybe 10 or 11. Legs too short. Too quiet. Touched the ground. Sneakers muddy. He gripped the chains with white-knuckled hands. Eyes squeezed shut. Behind him, someone was pushing. I couldn't see their face. Just long, pale fingers on the rusty chains. The air in the dream felt thick. Hard to breathe. Stop, the younger me said. Too high, I want to get off. The hands didn't stop. I woke up with the taste of mud in my mouth. Things got worse after that. It wasn't just the nightmares or the intrusive images. It was bleed through. I'd be walking down the grocery aisle, and for a half a second, the polished linoleum would flicker into dirt, dark and wet. The hum of the refrigerators would turn into the distant buzz of summer insects. The bright fluorescent lights overhead would tilt toward the purple bruise of evening sky. Then I'd blink and be back in the store. Heart pounding, clutching a box of cereal like a life raft. At work, I'd glance up from my computer and see, instead of my co-workers' cubicles, a wide expanse of grass leading into shadow. I'd smell rain and moss and rust. It happened in the shower one morning. I closed my eyes to rinse shampoo out of my hair and felt cold metal under my fingers instead of a tile. The chains of the swing set, I screamed, slipped and cracked my elbow on the faucet. At first, I didn't tell anyone. How do you explain that reality is glitching around the edges? But the line between memory and present kept fraying. I started hearing it too. The squeak of chains, the rhythmic creak of metal, the breathless, accelerating sound of someone being pushed higher and higher. I heard it in the quiet between songs on the radio, in the hum of refrigerator at night, in the pauses when Dr. Patel was jotting notes during our sessions. You look exhausted, she said during one visit, her brow furrowing. Are you sleeping at all? Not great, I admitted. Are the nightmares still about the swing? Yes and no. I picked at a loose thread on my sleeve. Sometimes I'm watching it, sometimes I'm on it, sometimes I'm both, watching myself. She nodded slowly. And your reality testing, talking to your family? I talked to my mum, I said. She thinks I'm being dramatic. Nothing bad ever happened. No swing set, no field. Just a parking lot and an anxious kid who probably saw a scary movie. Do you remember any movies like that around that time? She asked. I thought of a scene from a horror film I'd half watched at a sleepover once. Some kid getting hurt on a playground. I'd only seen a flash before burying my face in my sleeping bag. The mind does strange things, stitching fragments together. Maybe, I said. We spent the rest of the session on grounding exercises. 5 things I could see. 4 I could touch. 3 I could hear. It helped a little, enough to get me through the week. Then Lily went into early labour. She called me at 3 in the morning, voice tight with pain and excitement. It's happening, she gasped. My water broke. I'm at St. Mary's. Get here, now. The world narrowed to that. The drive through the empty streets felt unreal. Silver streetlights gliding over the hood of my car. Every traffic light was green. The radio was off, in the quiet. I kept hearing the faint squeak of chains. Not now, I whispered, gripping the steering wheel. Please, not now. St. Mary's smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. The fluorescent lights buzzed. I followed the signs to labour and delivery, stomach churning. Lily's room was small but bright. She was in bed, hair plaited plastered to her forehead, eyes blazing. "Took you long enough," she wheezed, then grabbed my hand as another contraction hit. "Oh my god, I hate this. If I die, delete my browser history." "You're not going to die," I said automatically. The words felt strange in my mouth, like saying there might be tempt fate. "Don't jinx it," she hissed, then laughed, then cried, then cursed. Lily is nothing if not thorough. The hours blurred. Nurses came and went. Monitors beeped steadily. I held her hand and counted breaths and tried not to think about the memory thudding behind my eyes like a second heartbeat. At one point, a nurse checked her dilation and said, "Almost there, sweetheart." Lily sagged back, sweaty and exhausted. "Tell me something funny," she mumbled at me. "Distract me." "I once puked on my boss's shoes," I offered. She snorted weakly. "I know that one. You're losing your touch." I scrambled for another story. My mind, unhealthily, supplied only the swing. "Do you remember when we were kids?" I began slowly. "And we used to play outside for hours. Mum would yell at us to come in, and we pretend we couldn't hear." "That's not a memory, that's a lifestyle," she muttered. "Specific, Noah." "In the field," I said. "Behind the house." She frowned, eyes half closed. "Field? You mean the parking lot, with the dumpster that smelled like death?" "No," I said. "The field, with the long grass, the red swing set." Her hand tightened around mine. "We didn't have a swing set," she said. Her voice had gone very soft. "You know that." "Right," I said quickly. "Right, sorry, mixing up with something else." For a moment though, she kept frowning, like she was searching for something just out of reach. Then another contraction hit, and the world shrank again. Later, minutes, hours, I couldn't tell. Something changed. The air in the room shifted, went heavier. The monitors hummed at a constant pitch. The fluorescent lights flickered. That is part one of Do You Remember When We Were Kids? If you enjoyed this horror story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it helps us make these for you. 80% of people who watch these videos are not subscribed.